Merhabalar herkese. Hepiniz IEFT Talks webinarlarına hoş geldiniz. Bugün Dünya sıralamasında 130. sıradaki University of Exeter'de hukuk eğitimini Hayley ve Claire'den dinliyor olacağız. Lütfen sorularınızı soru cevap bölümünden yönlendiriniz. Yes, Hayley, the stage is yours now.
Okay, hi everyone. Thanks very much for joining our webinar today. My name is Hayley and I work in the International Office at the University of Exeter. And presenting with me today is Professor Claire Gamage from our law department, who's going to be talking to you all about what it's like to study law at Exeter. If you do have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to put them in the Q&A box and we'll either answer them as we go or Claire will answer them at the end. So yeah, I hope you find the presentation useful. So Claire, over to you.
Thank you so much, Hayley, and thank you for having us here today. It's a real privilege to be with you. I'm going to share my screen and just walk you through a brief presentation, which will hopefully give you a good sense of what Exeter Law School is all about. So, as has been mentioned, I'm Claire Gamage. I'm a Professor of International Commercial Law at the University of Exeter Law School, and I'm the incoming head of school from April. So I'm very integrated into the community there, and hopefully I will be able to answer any questions you might have of things that I cover today on these slides in this presentation, or indeed beyond that. So the first thing that our students tend to think about as they're approaching the question of which university to apply for is why they might want to study law in the first place. And there's lots of different reasons that students choose to study law in the UK. For some students, it really is about pursuing a career where they can promote justice when they're in pursuit of different types of justice, for example, environmental justice or social justice or digital justice. So there's lots of different reasons that students might want to study law for that particular reason. Sometimes students are joining us just because they're intellectually curious about law and what law and rules and governance actually means in society and what the role of law in society is. For some, they feel it's their civic duty. They want to actually become a lawyer, maybe perhaps go into family law because they've had an experience in that system, or perhaps go into commercial law because they're interested in the way that the economy works. We also have students who come to us because they're not really sure what they want to do, but they know that they'll get good skills that are transferable into other types of employment after their degree. And so skills development and career opportunities are a real key attribute of our degree that students are looking for. And finally, of course, for those students who are thinking of joining us to study law, there are lots of different practice areas that you can go into as a lawyer, either as a solicitor or as a barrister or an advocate. So our students who join us may be joining for lots of different reasons, and we have a really diverse student community that I'll talk about a bit later. And it's an inclusive student community where we welcome students from all over the world. So why should you choose Exeter? Obviously, you'll be in the process of thinking about applying to lots of different law schools. And my role here is to try to get you to stop and think about why Exeter could be the location for you. We are one of the top universities in the Russell Group. We're doing very well. That's a prestigious group, which are a group of universities that are focusing on research generation as well as teaching. And in 2022, we were ranked 12th overall in the Complete University Guide. And that was for everything. And we were ranked 17th in the UK for our research. So 81% of our research was classified as world leading or as having internationally excellent status. This means that it's the top research, on the basis of the metrics that we use. And 100% of our law research has been rated as having internationally excellent impact. Now, what this means is that the research we do as scholars, as academics, is being used elsewhere by policymakers, for example, to affect social change. So our law school has excellent academics within the school who are working on trying to change society for the better. So if you were to join us in Exeter, you'd be joining a community that is really interested in advocating for social change across those broad legal disciplines. As a student, though, I appreciate that for you, you're more interested perhaps in the more nuts and bolts of how do we teach? What can you learn? Why would you want to come here? So at Exeter, we have a slightly different way of doing things, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But we do embed innovative teaching and assessment methods. We try to ensure that our students have a diverse range of methods once they're with us to try and keep you really interested in what you're learning. Now, the LLB programme that I'll speak to you today is the LLB Honours for 3 years. We do run other programmes as well that you can see there. And if you're interested in those, please do either reach out afterwards or go onto the website and you can find out all the information you'd need. But the LLB Honours is the main one that our international students tend to come and join us on. That's our 3-year programme, and the structure of the programme runs in this way. We have 3 years and you'll take different modules in each year. Now, what I've done here is you can see that those modules in dark blue are compulsory modules. You have to take them. So every student who joins us at Exeter will have to take the 4 modules that are outlined there in year 1. So that's contract law, constitutional and administrative law, criminal law, legal foundations. And then in year 2, all students have to take land law, equity and trusts, law of torts, and European Union law. Now, what we try to do at Exeter is to scaffold your learning so that you start things in year 1 that will start to reappear either in other modules in year 2 and year 3 or across the programme. So what you'll see is that we structure this as you have 4 modules in year 1, and then you have 5 modules in year 2. And then you can have up to 6 modules in year 3 because year 3 is entirely optional. Now, that is something that is not the same across the Russell Group universities. Every university approaches their structure differently. We have chosen to give our students the opportunity to choose all optional modules in the final year because in UK universities, year 2 and year 3 are the years on which your degree will be accredited. So what that means is that your marks from year 2 and your marks from year 3 will count towards your final grade average on your transcript. And what we tend to find is that students need that foundational year in year 1 and part of year 2 to really develop their legal skills, and that they really then tend to flourish in those optional modules where they can really start to explore areas of law that they're genuinely interested in looking at. Some of the optional modules you could take at undergraduate level are on the screen here for you. So we've got things ranging from the sort of human rights types of modules through to real commercial style modules like international commercial litigation or intellectual property. We also have some modules that are framed around theory and policy and politics, so things like law, politics and power, the relationship between law and power, law and governance, law and money. We also have modules that are focused more around things like specific disciplines like family law or medical law. And you can see there we have medical ethics and law. So there's lots on offer. Our module offering may change per year. It just depends on which staff are available and how many students sign up for it. But there is a broad suite of modules. This is just an example of them. There are far more available, so please do take a look on the website if you're interested. But we tend to say that students will have the choice of a broad suite of modules that will address sort of social issues, environmental issues, economic or commercial issues, and political issues, so that you can pick a sort of broad range of topics that you're interested in to really go into in greater depth in year 3. Now, at the University of Exeter, we also have an excellent LLM programme. So for those students interested in postgraduate taught, we have 3 commercial law programmes at the moment. That's the LLM Commercial Law, the LLM International Law, and the LLM Masters of Laws. Now, commercial law and international law are sort of specialisms. So to do commercial law, you'll have to take specific modules in order to satisfy that sort of criteria. And what the commercial law LLM enables you to do is to gain a deep insight into commercial law and its relationship with those social issues. So we have lots of new modules coming out around AI, for example, modern technology, how the law is shaping AI, how AI is shaping legal practice and legal ethics, lots of really interesting questions there. And again, we have these other modules like World Trade Organization and Society, intellectual property law, mergers and acquisitions. This one's a very sort of commercially focused programme. Those students who are interested in perhaps things like humanitarian law or international human rights law, the law of armed conflict, you would be recommended to take the LLM in international law, so you can get that more comprehensive understanding of the way in which international law operates, and to an extent understand the relationship between public international law and private international law, and also public international law and domestic law. So there's lots of different aspects here if you're interested at the postgraduate level. Now, if you couldn't decide, if, say, for example, you thought, actually, I'd quite like to take a few commercial law modules and I'd also quite like to take some international law modules, you can graduate with an LLM Master of Laws. So this is our general program where you pick and choose whatever you want to study, and then that then goes into a general master's. We're also really excited to be launching this year a new LLM program for 2023, and this is our Law and Business LLM. Now, why we're excited to launch this is because we are co-creating this program with our triple accredited University of Exeter Business School. So it's an award-winning business school. It's one of the top, certainly in the country. And the unique feature of this program is that you do not need to have a legal background or a business background to take the LLM. So there will be a mixture of options from the law school and from the business school. You take 60 credits in law and 60 credits in business school, and then a dissertation. And then that enables you to graduate with an LLM law and business. Furthermore, if you're interested in doing either finance and accounting or management, you can pick modules that enable you to get that specialized pathway within the law and business LLM. And at LLM level, at the postgraduate taught level, this is an example of some of the optional modules that we offer, and you would certainly be able to take that. On the LLM Law and Business, you do actually have 2 compulsory modules you have to take as well, in terms of sort of foundational principles of commercial law, for example, is one of them. But as you can see here, again, much like our undergraduate offering, we try to give students a really good range of options. This is just a snapshot, but you can see it ranges from things like socio-legal and research skills all the way to things like mergers and acquisitions. So there really is a good range of things to take on our LLM program. So how would you be taught if you were to join us at Exeter? So I mentioned at the beginning that we're quite innovative. We really are quite a special school because we have a number of scholars who are experts in legal education. And so they have really driven forward our approach to innovating in legal education. So you'll have a mixture of different class sort of structures. You may have a small seminar group, which would consist of no more than 20 students, or you may be in a large workshop group where it could be upwards of 100 students. Now, for this year, we have trialled a new model of teaching in criminal law and contract law in the first year, where our students do not have the sort of stereotypical lecture and seminar. What they have is a workshop model where students come in very large groups, but are then separated out into very small groups. And we have 2 members of staff who facilitate the delivery of a session. They're really interactive. Our students are really enjoying these sessions, and they have reported that they like having the mixture of the workshop model and seminar model. So we try to ensure that we are receptive to student voice. Students have the opportunity to feed back to us, and our curriculum is very much shaped and informed by student voice. As I say there, you'll have lectures. Lectures are also recorded so that students who are unable to attend can go and listen there afterwards. On the postgraduate front, we offer seminars and lectures at the moment to students in that programme. In addition, the other support you will have is weekly office hours, where you can drop in at any point during our office hours to ask a question or just to check in. So if you've been doing something in class and you haven't quite understood it, or you go home and you've done your reading, it doesn't quite make sense, you can just pop by and speak to a member of staff. So our staff are really friendly, and in those office hours, that's your time to go and ask questions. In addition to this kind of academic support, we also have academic personal tutors. And every student who joins us at Exeter will be assigned an academic personal tutor who will stay with you for your journey throughout the 3 years or 1 year, depending on which programme you come into. And as part of that, you're given sort of support throughout your degree programme to ensure you are getting the additional support that you need elsewhere. So for example, if you had a wellbeing issue, we can connect you into the university's wellbeing service. If you wanted to talk about your career, we can signpost you to where you might get some advice about that. So the personal tutor is a really important function in terms of having a constant contact point in school. And it's something that we do in both group sessions with our students and individual sessions. Now, I mentioned at the beginning that the University of Exeter is also, doing very well in research, and we have a very vibrant research community with our scholars. We have 7 research centres, all of which are very active, and students are welcome to come to our events when we host them. We do host and advertise them to our students. And you can see there, our centres are commercial and corporate law, international law, European legal studies, family regulation and society, human rights and democracy, legal history research, and science, culture and the law. Now that last centre, science, culture and the law, is a really interesting one because it's interdisciplinary. And that's a unique feature of Exeter's university approach to teaching and research. We promote interdisciplinarity. We like to work with schools that are outside of law. We like to work with other faculties. So that centre there also works with, schools in the science faculty. So this is something that at Exeter you would experience, is kind of approach of pushing into disciplinary boundaries. And as I mentioned, through our work, we have benefited policymakers, governments. For example, I work quite closely with different government departments to try and inform them on international trade. So all of our scholars have their own way of trying to create impact. In other words, trying to make sure they are doing their duty to ensure their research is going somewhere for the betterment of society. Our student community is very inclusive, and we have a team of staff who are dedicated to making sure that our student community is promoting those values of inclusivity, diversity, and decolonisation of our curriculum. We do have a number of student-led societies that operate sort of within the school. Our University of Exeter Law Society is the biggest one, and that comprises the society dealing with both routes to becoming a solicitor and routes to becoming a barrister. So for any kind of mooting, advocacy, negotiation type activities, that's probably the society that you would go to. But all of these societies are really valuable within our school, and they offer employability events, mock trials, different types of social events that you can get to know your colleagues in the school, and basically provide an opportunity to reflect on different aspects of law that you're finding really interesting. They'll invite guest speakers down that you can go and meet, and sometimes organise dinners. So you certainly won't be short of opportunities to engage with other students through this society framework. These are just the societies in the school. If you look at the Guild website at the University of Exeter, you'll see how many societies they have outside of law. And there's pretty much a society for everything. So whatever your interest, there will be a society there. Alongside the important work that our students do in the student-led societies, we also have a fantastic law clinic. And we are just about to launch our immigration law clinic as well. Now, our law clinic does incredible work in the local community and beyond around pro bono legal services. And this is a really important part of our school's ethos, is to give back to the community. So as a student, if you were to join us, you could come in and help with one of these projects. Again, take a look on the website if you're interested in the diverse range of projects that are available. But there are different stages in your career at the university that you can join in with them. And they enable you to provide legal advice and gain experience of delivering legal advice under the supervision of qualified solicitors and barristers in the school setting. It's a really fantastic initiative and has been shortlisted for a number of awards. So they really are a phenomenal team. And that leads me to my final point, that what we want you to do when you come to Exeter is to build a brilliant future for yourself. And we try to equip you with the skills and the opportunities to do that. And I'm going to talk to you about some of those. But what we want you to do when you join is to make the most of your legal education, But many of our students do not go on to law. Lots of our students do go on to practice, in other types of careers and professions. So we are very keen to ensure that you get a broad skill set when you're with us, that we're not just focusing on legal skills and legal development. So we have within our schools, I've mentioned our law clinic. Now that is a law clinic, but you gain lots of different types of skills from working with them around things like giving advice, speaking to people of different backgrounds, and you get the opportunity to engage with lots of different things. We also have a dedicated mooting program that's overseen by one of our academics, Lindsay Connett, and she's fantastic. This gives you the opportunity to practice your advocacy skills, but that's also a way of practicing your communication skills. So, these are skills that do not necessarily have to be used only in legal practice. In addition, we also host a number of networking events to ensure that our students get to meet employers. Employers like Exeter students because our degree program is ranked very highly. So they know that our students are of very high quality. And this is a great way for students to really explore from year 1 to year 3 on the undergraduate program, or in the year that they're here with us on the master's program, to really get that exposure with employers and to see what type of work they might actually want to go into. We're very fortunate at Exeter that we do have a specialist, a law specialist employability advisor. So that consultant is there to provide bespoke advice about legal careers. So that if you are interested in pursuing a career in law, either within or outside of the UK, once you have finished your degree program, they can give you advice on, say, CV writing, application writing, interview preparation. Increasingly in the UK, if you're thinking of going into legal practice as a solicitor, lots of the stages of the interview are now digitized, and so there are the opportunities to practice those digital experiences before you're actually in the timed assessment of the firm's interview process. We also run workshops on how to become a solicitor or a barrister and how to apply for the relevant either vacation placements, training contracts, or mini pupilages. We also support students in their application to scholarship schemes within the bar. So if you want to become a barrister, how you could get a scholarship to do the next part of your training once you leave us. So we try to provide a significant amount of bespoke legal advice. However, as I've mentioned, lots of our students decide actually it's not a career they want to pursue. They love their law degree, but they would like to go off and work in a different sector. So we also have an excellent careers team at the university and a specific careers zone that you can engage with, and that enables you to look for different internships, different opportunities, and again, that advice around CV writing and applications, so that by the time you finish your degree, you've got a good sense of how to approach employers. Another way that you can build your legal skills is we have the Exeter Law Review, which is overseen by a member of staff with us, but is also run by students. And in this, you get the opportunity to write a sort of op-ed almost, or a short article on something to do with the law. So we try to ensure that our students are getting a broad range of skills development, from speaking and communication to writing to networking, so that then you're building all of these soft interpersonal skills that are really key to whatever profession you go on to. We're also working hard to embed skills development within our curriculum through the design of sort of simulations and sort of different activities that will enable you to practice maybe negotiations. So that's something that will be forthcoming. But we're very keen to ensure that graduate attributes are at the centre of what we're doing in terms of promoting your well-being in the school, so that when you're finished with your law degree, you've got plenty of options in terms of your career. So I'll finish there, but if you do have any questions, please just ask, and myself and Hayley are available to answer them.
That's great, thanks Claire. So yeah, we've had a few questions in. The first two are kind of similar, I suppose. So the first one is, can you apply if you don't have a law degree? I don't know if that's undergraduate or postgraduate, so maybe if you could just cover both. And then Halame is asking, can you still apply for a law master's even though they don't have a law background?
might be asking the same sort of question, actually. So I think for undergraduate, of course, you don't need any degree to apply for our undergraduate programme. You know, we do take students across all age ranges, actually, for our undergraduate programme. You just need to have the relevant qualifications, which are all online in terms of the equivalencies to get into Exeter Law School. For the LLM programmes, now for LLM, international law, commercial law, and the general law LLM, you will need to have a law degree background because it's sort of furthering your legal education. But for the law and business LLM, that new LLM that we're launching this year, you don't need to have a background in law, so you don't need a degree in law and you don't need a degree in business.
Okay, great. And then, so the next question is, do we have online classes? Now, I know we do for some subjects, but I don't know if law is one of them.
So we're not offering online classes. Our classes are all in person. And we've taken that decision because our students wanted us to. Our students wanted in-person delivery. And we also have to make sure that we've got that contact with our students. We find that actually an in-person delivery works better in terms of embedding skills and getting students to interact. So online is not something that we offer at the moment, and I don't think there is a plan to offer it.
Thank you. So the final question so far, this is a bit of an interesting question. So the person is asking, well, what they perceive anyway. So they're saying, why study law when there is no justice in the world? So I guess they're asking sort of how you can maybe change things. And
yeah, it's a really important question. And I think what students tend to see when they join, you know, it's a very challenging time in the global economy at the moment. I'm a trade lawyer, and I'm a trade lawyer who's really interested in trade and human rights and the way that trade affects, you know, how economic activity or commercial activity affects people's ability to get food or water or housing. So that's what I'm interested in. And I think, you know, that there are lots of injustices and lots of unfreedoms that we see every day across the world. And what I've come to realize is that you can, as a lawyer or as a law specialist, actually affect social change. Now, it may not be on a grand scale, but you can do things on a day-to-day basis that do change the lived experiences of other people. So that example I gave of the law clinic, that is what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. They are giving free legal advice to people who otherwise could not afford to access legal advice. And without our students and the amazing clinic leaders, those people would be without a legal remedy at all. So you're obviously working in a very complex social and political environment. But I like to look at the emancipatory potential of the law. It's also a very constraining force. There are lots of reasons why, you know, the law can come down like an iron fist as well. But the law can also have an emancipatory potential. And that's why we'd like you to come to Exeter to come and learn and really dig in. Those are the sorts of questions we like our students to be asking.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so there's not been any other questions so far. I have just put my email address in the chat. So if anyone does have any more questions after the presentation, please feel free to email us and we can get back to you. So yeah, I guess if there's no more questions, we will finish there. So thanks very much for that, Claire.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us today.
Yes, thank you very much for the great presentation, Claire and Haley. It was a very informative session for the attendees, and you covered all of the questions. Thank you for your answers too. Also, I would like to thank the participants in Turkish as well. Katıldığınız için teşekkür ederiz arkadaşlar. Umarım sizin için de faydalı bir webinar olmuştur. University of Exeter'de hukuk programları ve diğer programlar hakkında bilgi almak için chat kısmında paylaşılmış olan mail adresinden Haley ile iletişime geçebilirsiniz. Bir sonraki webinarlarımızda görüşmek üzere. Thank you very much again, you guys. It was a pleasure to have in IEFT Talks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.